Hey everyone, this is Callie. Thanks so much for being here with me today. I'm sharing a watercolor card, blending two colors together on each of the segments for this flower bouquet. I usually don't do that. Normally I just watercolor with one pigment for the flowers, one pigment for the petals, and then I'm good to go. However, today I decided to be a little bit more adventurous and blend two colors together. So first off here, I am using the Mom Spring Flowers bouquet. I love this stamp set, so I just decided to watercolor it for today's video. So to start out, I've embossed this image with a black pigment ink and then embossed it with a clear embossing powder. I'm just getting my tools together right now. I'm using a size 6 brush. I normally go for a size 4 or a size 6. And then I've got a stamp chamois to pick up any dampness on my brush that I don't want. So that's gonna dry my brush for me and be able to cleanse off the extra pigment and fluids that are on my brush. And then I've got my little paint pans. And I don't do a lot of mixing outside of the pans, so I normally just pick up the pigment directly from a wet pan. And that's what I'm doing right now. I added some water to that red pan, and I'm just picking up a little bit of pigment at a time with my brush and then cleaning off between the two colors. As you can see, I applied the dark pigment first in the nooks and crannies of each of these petals, and then I'm slowly allowing that wet petal to draw that pigment out and fade into a lighter color. And then at the tip of each of these petals, I'm going to be adding that gold or that yellow color to allow the two to blend together. Now, anytime there is too much pigment, I'm going to use a damp, clean brush to pull that pigment up. Sometimes I pull too much and then I have to add more color. So it's kind of a balance game. You're going back and forth a lot, and it seems like a lot of work to go through all of the petals, but it is relaxing to do, and if you've got time and patience, I encourage you to try it. You're probably also wondering how long it took me to complete this card. From start to finish, even with some prep time before I started this video, the filming was approximately 2 hours long. So that's typically how long it takes me to color anything, really. When I'm ink blending, making a card, to Copic coloring, it all ends up being about the same amount of time. And you might think that stenciling and ink blending might be really quick, but I don't know why I spend so much time on it. You know what it is? Picking the colors is super hard for me. I will sit there and stare and think about a color that I want, and then I contemplate about the shade that I want. And honestly, 2 petals in, I was questioning my color choices for these flowers, but I was determined to not stop and start over. So here we are. So as you can see, I am just working my way around all of these petals and completing all of my flowers. I'm not getting any more adventurous than going 2 colors than trying to do multiple flowers in different colors. Along the way, I also added that gold orange color to the center of the flowers, and now I'm just going to work on the leaves. With the leaves, I applied a light pigment all over, and then I'm just dabbing darker color towards the center veins, and then I'm going to sweep my brush around the outer edges to keep them lighter, and that will help with the blending as well. So when I'm done with my image, I'm going to go ahead and use my Sakura Jelly Roll pen and add some white highlights to all those stamens. I had avoided painting them earlier, so I'm more or less just adding the white back in there to bring them back to life. Now, to give those darker areas a bit more contrast, I'm pulling in a colored pencil to help add some darker tones to the center of the petals and fade and blend into the yellow where it didn't blend too well with the watercoloring alone. I also did that with the green, and it just gives it a little bit more contrast and a little bit more interest. Okay, so now I'm using the coordinating die and just die cutting the image. And this is going to be on an A7 or 5x7 card. So I have a white panel here, and I could just ink blend a panel and then cut it down, but I decided it would be fun to use these A7 masks. I'm just taping my panel to the back of the stencils now, and I'm going to be ink blending with these 3 fun colors. This is going to be blended first with the darker color, which is taffy. And so I'll ink blend that at a corner, and I'm going to do it at a diagonal When I'm done with the taffy, I'll pull in Cheeky, and that is going to be the pink color to transition into the orange. I wanted a deep purple into coral look, so that's what I'm doing. So I've ink blended a third of a way in, and then I'm going to cover half of that with the pink. We want a lot of overlap so that the transition is good. So there's about 1 inch to 2 inches of overlap for each of the colors. So once I've done ink blending on the Cheeky, I am bringing in the Melon, which is the more orange color that's going to provide that coral look. And I've sped the ink blending up a lot, but that's because it takes me a lot of time too. So my recommendation is to use a light hand, be patient, go back and forth a lot, going both clockwise and counterclockwise to make sure that your ink blending is smooth. Now to give my panel some more interest, I'm going to go ahead and splatter or spritz this panel with some water using my distress sprayer. Then I'm going to add foam adhesive and attach it to my panel. Now as you've noticed, I haven't removed my mask yet, and that's because I want to add some splatters and I don't want it in that white space. So I'm going to go ahead and splatter that with some watered down acrylic ink that I have kept in this jar. And just like I do with my ink pads, I kind of pull the pigment out of the jar itself and just kind of tap off the excess on the lid before splattering my panel. Once I'm happy with the splatters, I can go ahead and remove my mask and carefully remove the post-it tape that held down my mask from the back as well. Okay, so now we can go ahead and work on our sentiment. I've removed one of the sentiments that I wanted to use, and now I'm just going to emboss it over black because that's my favorite thing to do. I'm going to emboss it over black in white, and once I've embossed and heat set that, I'm going to go ahead and trim it down, and then I'm going to fussy cut around the letters. This is also a favorite thing of mine. I think the trick here with fussy cutting is to not make it look perfect and to not have straight edges on your letters. So once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and add foam adhesive. Since I attached my bouquet down with foam adhesive, I want my sentiment to match in height. I use my T-ruler to make sure that it's nice and straight. And then last but not least, we're going to finish with a few iridescent sequins. I'm going to go ahead and attach those using some liquid adhesive and using my little pickup tool here. And then when we're done with that, I just adhere it to a A7 or 5x7 card base, and then my card is done. I hope you enjoyed this card. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and check out any of the links below or on my coordinating blog post if you're interested in the supplies that I used. Everything will be linked for you. I'm going to link 2 more videos if you're interested in seeing more. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great day. Bye, everyone.